Self-deception has fed us lies. Lies wrapped in the language of empathy, loyalty, and self-sacrifice. We were taught that we must be kind, open, and accessible. But accessibility is vulnerability. In this world, those who are too accessible become objects of use rather than respect. We waste our time trying to appear, to explain ourselves to those who would not even notice if we disappeared. This is the first crack in our strength to disperse energy when it needs to be focused like a weapon. Machiavelli knew this long before modern psychology attempted to soften the truth. A person who scatters their attention inevitably loses the game. Every time we justify ourselves, every time we get entangled in a battle that is not ours, we exhaust ourselves. And for what? The approval of recognition is the currency of the powerless. If you want to be strong, respected, and unattainable, become the center of your own world. This is not selfishness. It is strategy. The weak call it narcissism because they cannot accept that someone does not bow to them. But true strength is silence, focus, and inner confidence. You do not need permission to isolate yourself and build. You are not obligated to explain why you cut out distractions. Once you realize that your mind is the only important battlefield, life will begin to align in your favor. Focus exclusively on yourself. Not out of hatred, not out of spite, but because you have finally seen the truth. No one will come to save you. No one will give you strength, and no one will feel your pain like you do. Your transformation begins the moment you withdraw your energy from the crowd and direct it toward creation. The more you focus on yourself, the louder your silence becomes, and that silence frightens them. If you are ready to stop the chase and start building, tell yourself, I will no longer beg for attention. I will become the reason they crave it. This is just the beginning. In the first part, we will strip away the mask of distinction from the disguised under love and loyalty, revealing how they were created to keep you in weakness. The first illusion of loyalty. How do they catch you with care? They do not need to chain you to control you. It is enough for them to convince you that they care. This is the most effective trap. False loyalty wrapped in emotional words. They say, I am always here for you. But when your priorities change, watch how quickly they disappear. How swiftly that loyalty fades as soon as you stop playing by their rules. What they call friendship often turns out to be just a disguised dependency. You keep people around because once they made you feel seen. But that feeling comes with a leash. You fear growing because it might hurt them, make them uncomfortable, provoke envy. So you diminish yourself. You suppress your own desires to maintain their comfort. This is disloyalty. This is slavery. And this is a psychological war that you were not prepared to recognize. Niccolo Machiavelli warned about this centuries ago. The most dangerous people are not always your enemies. Sometimes they are those who are close to you, who slowly drain you while wearing a smile. They demand your time, your presence, your emotional energy, and call it love. But the moment you say no, how do they label it? Betrayal, This is not love, it is control. And if you do not break these ties, you will lose your future. You cannot evolve if you continue to coddle the egos of others. You will not be able to rise if you fear being misunderstood. And you certainly cannot transform into something powerful while dragging along the dead weight of the past. Every second you give to those who do not build a future with you is taken away from your empire. Your silence, your lack of action, is precision. Let them call it coldness. Let them say it is selfishness, while you call it strategy. If you are ready to escape emotional slavery and build something real, do it. Their loyalty was a cage. My freedom is now ruthless. Second, destroy the past. Change or remain powerless. You are no longer who you were 5 years ago. You are not who you were last year, and you are not even who you were this morning. But if you continue to drag along an outdated identity, do not be surprised if the results remain the same. The past lives only because you feed it with your thoughts, your words, your choices. You tell people stories about who you are. But these stories are chains you forged in childhood, in pain, in fear, and you continue to polish them as if they were gold. The world does not hold you back. It is you who does. You keep showing up as the version of yourself that everyone expects to see. The nice guy, the helper, the one prone to overthinking, the apologizer. This version brings only rejection and disappointment because people already know your script before you even speak. Predictable people are quickly forgotten. If you want transformation, then seek the unknown. Burn the script. Return to the world with a mask of mystery, with a silent mind and eyes that no longer ask for permission. Machiavelli did not wait for the world to recognize his worth. He created systems that forced the world to adapt to his power. He knew that rethinking is not vanity. It is survival. Do you think stability makes you reliable? No. It makes you easily predictable, easily used, easily eliminated. True power lives in unpredictability, in showing up anew, evolving so rapidly that your enemies no longer recognize you, while your old version becomes elusive. You do not need to exist in a world of explanations. You need a revolution for yourself. Let the weak cry for change. Let acquaintances ask for the version of you that they were comfortable with. And you evolve in silence, move in the shadows, erasing your past. Not with excuses, but with ruthless actions. When they ask what happened to the old you, respond. He disappeared when I realized that I was important to no one until I was useful. And this is your key to freedom. Become so useful, so focused, so quietly dangerous, that people feel the change when you enter a room. This is not pride. It is a thoughtful presence. And this is only possible when you stop clinging to the past self that you have already outgrown. Destroy your past. Bury it deep. Because the person you need to become does not need approval. They need isolation, silence, and a fierce commitment. If you are ready to burn your old identity to the ground, leave a comment. My past does not own me. I create what scares them. In the next part, we will delve into emotional detachment and why the ability to feel nothing at the right time is the deadliest power you will ever acquire. Emotional detachment is about becoming invulnerable without becoming insensitive. Most people are slaves to their feelings. Anger governs their words. Fear governs their decisions. Desire governs their attention. And then they wonder why they are so easily manipulated. The moment someone can predict your reaction, they own you. And when they can provoke an emotion in you, they use it for their benefit, not yours. You have been led to believe that deep feelings make you human. But no one told you that it also makes you weak if you do not learn to control them. Emotional detachment does not mean that you feel nothing. It means that you feel but choose which emotions are useful to you and which ones you discard like a broken sword in battle. Because when you are emotionally reactive, you are not living. You are being controlled. Machiavelli once said that a wise person should appear merciful, loyal, humane, sincere, and religious, but be internally opposite when necessary. Why? Because the world rewards appearance, not sincerity. Emotional detachment is your armor. When the world screams for you to react, to break, to show what troubles you, you remain in silence. Because a person who does not flinch under insult frightens those who rely on chaos. When someone tries to anger you, it is not personal. It is strategic. They are testing your self-control. When someone ignores you, disrespects you, or does not notice you, it is betrayal. It is information. And most of you turn this data into suffering. You crave closure and seek explanation. You dive into a spiral of grievances that you cannot control. And by doing so, you give them an emotional knife to cut you again and again. But when you detach, when you stop reacting emotionally, and start studying people like a strategist, you become impervious to their games. Insults roll off. Flattery becomes meaningless. Manipulations are so obvious that it is laughable. You no longer depend on approval or feel crushed by rejection. You sit at the center of your own gravity, calm, cold, and calculating. Emotional detachment allows you to say no without guilt, to leave without leaving the door ajar, to burn bridges that only led to places you have outgrown, and most importantly, it gives you space. Space for reflection, space for recovery, space to channel all your energy into strength, not into pursuit, not into explanation, not into pleasing others, but into absolute control over your reactions. Do you think that emotionality makes you real? No. It makes you readable, predictable, weak. The most influential people you know, those who dominate the room with their mere presence, they are not loud, they are not expressive, they are silent. And silence, when it is profound, becomes psychological weaponry, because it makes the world wonder what you are thinking and what you are planning. If you want to be unbreakable, you must master emotional detachment without becoming insensitive, remaining selective, cold where necessary, calm where it hurts, and focused when others fall apart. This is not emptiness. It is evolution. It is the path to becoming a person who cannot be manipulated because nothing owns you. Not praise, not rejection, not pain. Write this down now if you are ready to stop being emotionally readable. They may affect everyone else, but I am unshakable. Fourth, engineer your environment, eliminating everything that weakens you. You think your mindset is yours, but it is not. You think your thoughts are private, but they are programmed. Every sound, every voice, every screen, every room, everything shapes how you think, what you value, what you pursue. Your environment is not just the place where you live, it is what lives inside you. And if you do not control it, it will control you. Look around. Your so-called comfort zone is a psychological trap designed to make you soft. You sleep in a bed you do not deserve. You scroll through images that poison your mind, surrounding yourself with people who drain your attention. And then you call this normal. There is no external war. The war is already within. The threat is not external. It is your environment. Quiet, familiar, and designed to make you inconspicuous. Niccolo Machiavelli understood this perfectly, that power lies not only in his will, but also in what he allows around him. Every object, every influence, every connection either contributes to your elevation or undermines it. There is no neutral. The chair you sit on, the background noise, the friends you tolerate, the clutter on your desk, everything either sharpens your mind or dulls it. Do you want to become invulnerable? Then become the ruthless architect of your world, starting with silence. Silence is your first tool, because without silence, you will not hear your own strategy. Then eliminate distractions one by one. Every useless notification, every weak conversation, every room that reminds you of failure, disorder, laziness, or regret, avoid it, burn it, replace it with a space that demands your presence. Your room is a mirror of your mind. If it is in disorder, then so are you. If it is noisy, then so are you. If it is filled with meaningless things and empty entertainment, it is no coincidence. It is a reflection. And until you clear this environment, you will remain stuck. You will continue to wake up tired. You will continue to thirst for fulfillment. You will continue to confuse stimulation with strength. And they will laugh, watching you sabotage yourself. You think that 10 minutes of motivational content will change your life, but your room whispers weakness into your subconscious for 10 hours straight. Your desk, your walls, your phone, all of it sends signals. Most of them say the same thing. Stay the same, be passive, do not change. And until you change that environment, you are going nowhere. Now let's talk about people. Who do you allow into your energy? Who has the right to influence your day? If they are not disciplined, not focused, or not growing, why are they in your space? You do not need permission to distance yourself. You do not need drama to leave. Just observe their habits, their language, their mindset. And if they reflect your past rather than your future, quietly sever ties, without arguments and without guilt. Strength is not only what you add, it is also what you remove. Remove comfort, remove chaos, remove weak voices, This is how you sharpen your focus. This is how you build a kingdom inaccessible to others because they will not even recognize the terrain in which you operate. And that is the whole point. You were not meant to blend in with the crowd. You were born to create a world that obeys your commands. Stop apologizing for solitude. Stop explaining why you disappeared. Stop negotiating with people who live in distraction. You do not owe them a warning. You owe yourself results. When you enter a room, your energy should rise and theirs should diminish. When you open your phone, it should bring clarity, not confusion. This is a sign of a person who understands that the mind can be programmed, and they themselves are the programmer. Declare this now. If you are tired of allowing your environment to dictate your future, I will not adapt to chaos. I create strength. Time, the hidden killer. Every second you waste is a betrayal, not of others, but of yourself. Do you think time is flexible? Do you think you will have more of it later? Do you think that because you are young, time is on your side? But let me give you a truth that most men do not realize until it is too late. Time is impatient. Time is unkind. Time is a silent executioner. Every hour spent on nonsense, scrolling, waiting, reacting, it is a blade against your potential. You were not born with strength. You were not born with influence. You were not born with levers. The only currency you were born with is time. And the only difference between the strong and the forgotten is how they spend it. That is all. The same 24 hours. Different discipline, the same hours, different obsession. The weak waste time, the strong invest it, and you had better learn to distinguish between the two before time makes the choice for you. Niccolo Machiavelli never wrote in haste. He planned, studied, and acted because he knew that time is not something that can be killed. It was a weapon. Every minute can be sharpened into a strategy. And you allow it to slip away in group chats, on streaming platforms, in empty conversations and meaningless scrolling. You call it rest. I call it suicide, slow, polite, and completely avoidable. Here is the unpleasant truth. You are not tired. You are distracted. You are not burned out. You are disorganized. You are not stuck. You are simply spending time on people and habits that do nothing for your growth. The mind does not become stronger with age. It becomes lazier without pressure. And the more you indulge weakness, the more your time becomes a leash rather than a ladder. If you want a better life, if you want discipline, control, and power, then start tracking your time like a king tracks his gold. Because every second either builds your throne or someone else's, and let me explain this clearly. If you do not control your hours, you do not control your life. And if you do not control your life, then someone else is doing it. Look at your day. See how much of it is occupied by reactions rather than design. You wake up and check your phone before your own thoughts. You eat the feed and scroll. You walk the feed and scroll. You breathe the feed and scroll. Your time is no longer yours. It belongs to algorithms, advertisements, and digital distractions. This is not life. It is programming, and you are the product. But here is the good news. Time is loyal to the ruthless. Once you discard the unnecessary, the useless tasks, the false urgencies, the mental clutter, time will unfold like a sword from its sheath. You will find hours where others find excuses. You will build while others rest. You will grow while they distract themselves and deteriorate. Because time does not care who you are. It only respects what you do with it. You do not need more hours in the day. You need to eliminate what steals them. This means cutting out people who talk more than they act. This means deleting applications that only bring fog to your mind. This means owning your mornings, protecting your nights, and guarding your schedule like a battlefield. Because that is exactly what it is, and only the strategic survive. Discipline is not just motivation, it is subtraction. It is removing everything that holds back your rise. Want to wake up early? Fall asleep without distractions. Want to develop a skill? Turn off the noise. Want to dominate in silence? Then let silence become your standard. Because while they chase convenience, you chase time. And that is why they will always be behind you. Too late, too loud, too lost. You do not need to move quickly, but you need to move with direction. There is a difference between movement and progress, between being busy and being dangerous. The world is full of busy fools, running in circles, burning daylight in search of comfort, to feel productive. But the one who sits in silence, plans with clarity, and acts without emotion is the one who wins. And that is who you are becoming. Not a slave to time, not a fanatic of productivity, but a tactician, a strategist, who understands that the most brutal act of self-love is reclaiming your time without apologies. You do not need to explain why you are unavailable. You do not need to feel guilty for a turned-off phone. You do not need permission to protect your time as something sacred, because it is. If you are tired of allowing your future to die, with every new distraction, declare it now. My time is a weapon. I spend it on strength, not on people. Because in the next section, we delve into one of the darkest truths of Machiavelli. Why is helping others too much? It is not noble. It is dangerous. And how self-sacrifice turns lions into lambs. Number 6 is the trap of charity. Why does helping everyone destroy you? You were taught that being helpful makes you good. That sacrificing your time, energy, and attention for others gives life and meaning. That to be respected, you must serve. But here is what you were never told. Most people do not respect generosity. They exploit it. And the more you give, the more invisible you become. Because in the real world, usefulness is temporary, and self-sacrifice is the fastest way to become unnecessary. You think that being reliable gives you strength, but Machiavelli would laugh at this idea, because the person who is always available becomes the person who is never valued. You keep solving other people's problems, thinking it builds connection. But in reality, it builds quiet resentment. They accept your help, your advice, your time, and as soon as you say no, They call you selfish. It is awkwardness. It is dependency in disguise. Look closely. Who benefits when you overextend yourself? Who gains when you put others above yourself, not you? Because while you are busy helping them achieve their goals, your own goals remain hungry. While you fix their chaos, your life stands still. You have been zombified, made to think that being told you are becoming noble. But in the psychology of power, the person who cannot say no is not noble. They are weak, and weakness is always punished. The truth is cruel. The more you help, the more they expect. You teach them to take. You train them to drain you. They already have everything, and you begin to feel guilty for choosing yourself. That is how deep this trap is. You get lost in their problems. You become an instrument in their survival. You turn into a background figure in your own story. And they do not even notice. They simply continue to ask for more. Niccolo Machiavelli wrote extensively about this dynamic, that rulers must be cautious in providing services, because the giver becomes the debtor, and the recipient of help often begins to take it for granted. This is what happens to you. Every time you intervene to fix something that is not your responsibility, you lower your own status. If you continue to do so, you lose the only thing that creates power: scarcity. Your time should seem valuable. Your energy should be earned, and your attention should be rare. This is how value is created. It is not about being everywhere and being everything for everyone, but about making your presence a privilege. When you act this way, people change. They either rise to your standards or fade away, and both outcomes are exactly what you need. Helping people is not wrong, but excessive help is a problem. The difference is that power acts intentionally, while weakness is impulsive. You help when it is strategic, when it serves your mission, when it elevates not only them, but also you. But if you help out of guilt and fear or a desire to be useful, you are not helping. You are surrendering. You are not born to be a caretaker of chaos. You are not meant to fix broken people who do not want to fix themselves. You are meant to dominate your world, to evolve beyond your past, to manage your environment. And for that, a level of detachment is required that the average person cannot even comprehend. You help when it is deserved. You give when it warrants it. You walk away without hesitation when it does not. Ah, do you want to be feared, admired, respected? Then learn to say no without emotion, without apologies, without lengthy explanations. You are not here to be loved. You are here to win, and you do not win when you give yourself to others until the last drop. You win when you hone yourself to the point where your presence alone compels others to either evolve or retreat. Your kindness has been taken for weakness. Your empathy has been used as leverage. Your time has been drained as if it meant nothing. But no more. From this moment on, you help only when it builds strength. You give only when it multiplies the return. You walk with those who carry their own weight, or you walk alone. I am not a tool for those who are unfocused. My help is earned, not given freely, a silent strength. When you enter a room, do so without saying a word. Most believe that strength is loud. They think it is in the voice, in the speech, in endless words trying to prove something. But true strength does not try. It does not explain itself. It does not announce its presence. It enters, observes, and commands the room without uttering a single word. That is presence. The unspoken pressure of a person who does not chase approval. A person who does not need noise to be noticed. You have seen this. A person who enters and suddenly the air changes. He does not smile. He does not put on a show. He does not entertain. He is simply there, confident, unflappable, impenetrable. This is not charisma. It is control. Control over his energy. Control over his emotions. Control over his image. And this control makes the world adapt to him. This is psychological dominance without aggression. And this is what you are going to master. Niccolo Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. Often the strongest people are those who remain silent. When you speak, you risk revealing something. Your thoughts, your position, your fears. But silence is a strategy. It creates tension, mystery, making others wonder. And in that wondering, you gain power, becoming a question to which they have no answer. Stop filling the space with noise. Stop explaining yourself when no one has asked. Do not reveal your emotions through facial expressions, fidgeting, or excessive smiling. This is insecurity, not confidence, disguised as friendliness. The more you do this, the smaller you become. Presence is created when you are silent but mean everything. When your body radiates calm, your face remains impenetrable, and your aura says, I am here by choice, not out of necessity. Here, the average person fails. He strives to be liked, seeks connection, tries to please, is verbose, and shares too much. Why? Because he fears being misunderstood. But a person who fears being misunderstood will never be respected. If you want people to feel something when you enter a room, stop trying to control their opinion. Start controlling your presence. Your energy arrives before your words. Your posture speaks louder than your voice. Your gaze conveys more than entire paragraphs. And your silence screams. When you master the art of silence, you will change the dynamics. Others will begin to speak to fill the discomfort. They will open up, trying to understand you. This is how you win without confrontation. You allow them to reveal themselves while remaining a mirror they cannot decipher. There is nothing more intimidating than a person who does not flinch. A person who hears an insult but responds with calm. A person who receives praise but does not glow like a puppy. A person who stands firm, focused, calm, as if his thoughts are clear lines of strategy. Do you think this requires arrogance? No, it requires discipline, deep inner silence, control over your emotions, desires, and the need to be noticed. Here's the truth. People are constantly scanning you. They observe how quickly you speak, how often you blink, how much you move. how much you need their energy. And most of you, with every breath, scream your insecurity because no one taught you how to maintain presence. But now you know. Now you understand that presence is maintained, not projected. And this is only possible when your inner world is colder, calmer, and more resolute than everything outside. You do not chase attention, you create attraction. You do not ask for a place, you own it without asking. And this does not come from ego, it comes from mastery. Mastery of your time, your silence, your detachment. And when you master this, you will see how people around you will nervously, respectfully, and subconsciously begin to adjust themselves. This is true power. It is not what you say, but what they feel when you are silent. If you no longer wish to waste your power on empty words and are ready to lead without noisy declarations, remember this. My silence speaks louder than their performance, because in the next part, we will move to the final transformation, the relentless discipline of selfishness. Why focusing on oneself without feeling is the most powerful form of rebellion in this world. The eighth, ruthless selfishness. Why putting yourself first is the highest form of strength. You have been convinced that thinking about yourself is wrong, that selfishness is bad, that focusing on your goals while ignoring the emotional chaos of others makes you a bad person. But let's clarify. If you constantly put others above yourself, one day you will wake up feeling empty, forgotten, and used. Not because they were malicious, but because you allowed it. You thought that by sacrificing yourself, you would earn recognition, but that is not the case. It leads to insignificance. Niccolo Machiavelli did not teach people to be cruel. He taught them to be clear. Clear about power, results, and human nature. And at the core of this clarity lies this law. People will use you as long as you allow it. The moment you stop focusing on yourself, they begin to think they can take from you. This is not negativity. This is reality. And if you do not build your life considering this truth, you will be deceived every time. You were taught that being selfless is a virtue, that you should drop everything when others need something, that your life should revolve around usefulness. But let me ask you, what happens when you need support? When you cannot hold on, when you go silent, you disappear, and the world keeps spinning. No advice, no rescue mission, just silence. This is when many men realize you are either a priority to yourself or you are nobody. Selfishness does not mean hurting others. It means refusing to harm yourself for their satisfaction. It means prioritizing your goals, health, discipline, and future above their dramas of distraction and manipulation. Because you have only one life, and you are wasting it explaining why you finally choose yourself. Enough. You do not need permission to change. You need discipline to protect it. Most people want you to remain soft, available, and constantly helpful. Why? Because that version of you is beneficial to them. It makes their lives easier. But at the moment you stop coming to the rescue to fix their chaos, suddenly you become the villain. All at once you become distant, selfish, cold. That is when you realize that you are doing everything right. Because putting yourself first will always offend those who are used to you putting yourself last. You cannot build an empire by babysitting. You cannot conquer anything by explaining every step to those who have never created anything. And you certainly cannot transform if you are emotionally attached to people who fear your independence. Let go of guilt, put an end to the desire for approval, and carry one truth in your soul. If something does not serve your purpose, it is not worth your time. Self-interest gives you the strength to say no without unnecessary conversation. It provides clarity in your choices right now for the sake of strength in the future. It allows you to focus on enduring solitude because you are building something that requires seclusion. And such strength, such energy, concentrated like a laser beam, makes people uncomfortable because they cannot control it, cannot access it, cannot stop it. Most people strive to be loved, but you are not one of them. You are not here to be loved. You are here to be remembered, and you are remembered not for being everything to everyone, but for becoming a force that is unattainable, unyielding, unwavering. And this is only possible when you are focused exclusively on yourself, running with consistency. Let the world call it selfishness. Let them consider it arrogance. Let them misunderstand your silence, your detachment, and your boundaries. You are not here to convince them. You are here to win without their acknowledgement. Because in the end, strength does not ask for understanding. It simply moves forward, and those who cannot keep up fall behind and complain. So the next time someone tries to impose guilt on you, distracting you from your goal, ask yourself, does this bring long-term benefit or distract from who you are becoming? If it is a distraction, cut it off. If it is an emotional trap, step away. If it slows you down, you already know the answer. You do not compromise with weakness. You eliminate it. I do not serve anyone's interests but my own. Number 9 is the final form. When you become a weapon, everything aligns. Silence, detachment, elimination, precision. This is the moment when you stop trying to change and start changing. Not the best version of your old self. A completely different entity. One that is built on focus. One that feeds on indifference. One that does not depend on validation. Unaffected by rejection, unaffected by noise. You are not just growing, you are sharpening yourself. You become unrecognizable even to your past self. Most people think transformation is about doing more. But Machiavelli knew it was about doing less, but with greater intensity. It is about cutting, subtracting, simplifying.